Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Bitesize Cinema. I'm your host RJ McCready, and for this episode number 3, I'm going to be taking you guys back to the year in 1977 for some high sea adventure with some stop animation. Harryhausen's magic. It's going to be some swashbuckling, there's going to be witches, there's going to be wizards, princesses, there's going to be battles between monsters. You know what it is, guys, it's going to be Sinbad, the Eye of the Tiger. That's right, it's time to take a look at some Harryhausen magic. So let's get into this, guys. Let's set the sails, let's go on this adventure, let's play a trailer, and I will see you guys soon.
First came the seventh voyage, then the golden voyage, and now the legendary Sinbad faces all the forces of darkness. The sword-wielding ghouls, Mammoth Minotaur, the gargantuan troglodyte, in the ultimate dinorama spectacle, Sinbad's wildest adventure, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. Rated G.
And welcome back, guys. So Sinbad, the Eye of the Tiger. The synopsis for this film is Sinbad, the Prince of Baghdad, embarks on a journey to free Prince Qasim from an evil enchantment. His journey is sabotaged by Zenobia, an evil witch who wants her son to be crowned king. It came out in 1977 and it was the same year as a little movie called Star Wars, which did incredibly well, but nonetheless Sinbad didn't do too bad either. It was on a $3.5 million budget, but the return for Sinbad was $20 million at the time, so considering Star Wars as well, it didn't do too bad. So going to the cinema back then was a real treat. It stars Patrick Wayne as Sinbad, who is the son of the classic Golden Age actor John Wayne. Jane Seymour as Farah, Princess Farah. Patrick Troughton, who some of you may know as Doctor Who, and he was in a film called The Omen, just to name just a few. It's also the second time that a Doctor Who character has been in a Sinbad movie. You had Tom Baker in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and they both did an incredible job. He plays Melanthius in this movie. And you've got some of Sinbad's crew. You've got Nadim Swallow, Damien Thomas, and you've also got Peter Mayhew in this movie, who we all know is Chewbacca. And if I'm honest with you, I didn't realise he was in this film until I did the research. All the time I've watched this, I didn't realise it's Chewbacca under the Minotaur suit, or some of it at some times, not all the times because it's stop animation. But this was actually his first movie. He was a hospital porter in a London hospital, and he was noticed by one of the producers, so probably the best thing that ever happened to him, to then go on and do Star Wars as well. So always look for those windows of opportunity, people. And you've also got Margaret Whiting as Zenobia. She is really menacing in this movie. She plays the evil witch very well, and her son, well, not her son in real life, but Kurt Christia, who plays her son in the movie, he is the second person to reprise his role in another Sinbad film. He played one of the crew, one of the nicer characters in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. But in this movie, he plays a bad guy. He plays quite a horrible character in this. So, so it's a return of another bit of Harryhausen royalty for this movie. It was directed by Sam Wanamaker, and he's known for films like Private Benjamin and the Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie Raw Deal. He also directed Superman 4, Quest for Peace. I don't think I'll mention that one too much. The canon movie. The canon movie that destroyed canon, but we'll move on from that. He did Sinbad, we'll forgive him. And it was written by Beverly Cross, and again, she is some royalty for these movies. She wrote Clash of the Titans, which was the next movie to be made by Harryhausen, and whilst we're on that actually got a bit more of a budget, and I think that was a success of this movie. It got $11 million budget, and that's another great movie. It might be another film I might have to review on Bitesize Cinema. And she also wrote Jason and the Argonauts, so that's some really incredible writing credits as a director to have those three movies under your belt. Whilst we're talking about Ray Harryhausen, I mean, let's talk about him. I mean, what an absolute legend in the stop animation special effects world. Certainly a big part of me growing up as a kid with all these films. I mean, just to name just a few, which I've already mentioned with Jason the Argonauts, Clash of the Titans. You had a film called The First Man in the Moon, which is, I think, a little bit underrated. The Valley of Gwangi, Mysterious Island, and of course the other two Sinbad movies, which makes this a trilogy. You had the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and then this movie. And it's just a really nice trilogy. It's a real tidy trilogy. If I'm honest with you, I would say the Golden Voyage of Sinbad is actually my favourite one of them all. Surprisingly, I mean, a lot of people, I've posted this movie on the Facebook page. A lot of people say they love this one, and I totally get that. I mean, it's a great movie. I'll get into that in a minute. But I suppose if I select them, I say Golden Voyage, and then the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and then The Eye of the Tiger. But they are all good movies. Let's not take that away from them. And getting into The Eye of the Tiger, let's start with that. It's a Sinbad movie. It's what I like about these films is you know what you're going to get with this film, and I'm totally fine with that. It gets you from point A to B, and they haven't changed the template with any of these films. They've all got the bit where you've got someone who's been transformed. So in the Seventh Voyage, the princess was miniaturized. Golden Voyage, the king had been burnt badly, and obviously in this one you've got the prince that's been turned into a baboon. But it's like, why change a good thing? And I'm glad they haven't. It is a simple plot, which I think has been complemented, and all these films have been complemented with that simple plot with some amazing stop motion monsters. And as a kid, I used to watch the screen and tick off how many monsters I've seen in this film. And whilst we're on the stop motion animation, I think it's because I grew up with it, and I think there's a lot of you guys on Facebook that we all talk about of, you know, my similar age to me when we all grew up with these films, is I got a real soft spot for the stop motion animation. I mean, CGI has been really great of late, don't get me wrong. I think there's been some rubbish CGI out there that hasn't aged too well with films. I mean, just for example, I would say if The Mummy with Brendan Fraser had Ray Harryhausen on there and he did all the stop motion special effects, I think that film would actually age better. And I think that you could say that the Eye of the Tiger has actually aged better than The Mummy has, and The Mummy was made a little bit later on. So just to give you an example on how special effects can harm a movie in some ways, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'll take stop motion any day in the movie. I think it's got a real conviction to it. And when I watch these films now, they've got their own charm. But just going back to The Mummy, that's a really good film. I do like The Mummy. I'm not dissing it. That's one of my favourite films, which I will need to cover. But we're not talking about The Mummy today. We're talking about Sinbad. So let's have a look. So the film it starts off with Sinbad going to the kingdom of Charak, and Prince Kasim is going to be crowned as king. And his evil stepmother, Zenobia, turns him into a baboon because she wants to prevent him from becoming king, and she wants her son to own the crown. So Sinbad moors up and he wants to marry Jane Seymour, which is Kasim's sister, Farah. And you've got in this film, you've got a Sinbad who is kind of wanting to hang up the anchor on his ship or moor up, and he wants to settle down. And obviously he gets to this kingdom and he's told by Zenobia's son that the town is under a curfew and there's a plague, and he invites him into a tent, and this is where you get our first scene of some Harryhausen magic. And these skeletons that turn up there, how can I explain it? They are like zombie demon skeletons, and they are gnarly as hell. I love this scene, it's great. You are probably about 2.5 minutes into this film and all of a sudden you've got a great fight scene between these demons and Sinbad. So he takes care of them, and then he escapes the city and goes back to his ship, and he finds out about her brother, or Prince Cassim, being turned into a baboon, and he has to go on a voyage to try and turn him back into a human. And the only chance they've got is a legendary alchemist called Melanthius, which is played by Patrick Troughton, and they don't even know if he's real, but they have to go and find out. So Sinbad decides to go on one final voyage to go and save Prince Cassim, and he's refused all the gold from her father, and he's just said, well, I just want to take the hand of your daughter. How romantic is that? That's great. So on the other side of this movie, you've then got Zenobia, who is then trying to stop Sinbad, and there's your second bit of stop motion animation, which is Minoton. Oh my god, what a badass character he is. It's almost like a sort of early Terminator character here in the Ray Harryhausen world, and she has brought Minoton to life with a clockwork heart, which is a pretty cool scene. So she is just a powerful witch in this movie. So the chase is on. So they go to see the Greek alchemist Melanthius, and just to mention, there's some really good set locations here. They go to the city of Petra, which is in Jordan, and that is as a film location. And it looks like they actually went there on set as well to do this. I can't see that being made up, which is pretty cool. So Melanthius agrees to help, and he says the only way we're going to be able to transform Prince Cassim is to go to another legendary place called Hyboria, which is an ancient civilization in the north. They have to go past the North Polar Waste to get there, and they're an ancient civilization of all 4 elements of the earth. So I guess it could be somewhere like Atlantis or something like that back in the times. So along the way, also to mention, I've forgotten to mention the baboon, Prince Cassim. He's another stop motion character, and when you read the reviews on this film, there's a lot of people that actually thought that was a real baboon out of all the stop motion characters. So it's a testament to Harryhausen on that. But moving on, along the way on the voyage, you've got another crazy scene where the witch Zenobia wants to find out where they're going to, and she turns herself into a seagull, and she becomes she does some sort of like reconnaissance on the ship, and she gets captured by Melanthius, and he puts her into like a glass jar, and he uses the potion that she uses to transform herself on a bee, and this is pretty cool. It's a bee or a wasp or something like that, and the wasp starts to become like a giant wasp and starts flying around, and get a pretty cool scene where Sinbad comes in and all the crew are fighting with it. And it's a bit like the scene out of Golden Voyage when the statue comes alive on the scene, so it's kind of a little bit of another homage to another movie. So you get another stop motion character there. But after that, because of this altercation on the boat, Zenobia gets away. She turns herself back into a seagull again, and then when she gets back to the ship, she tries to transform herself, and it's not enough. Her foot is left as a seagull foot, and that scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. And that just sort of makes her a little bit more menacing as a witch, you know, just sort of increases that menace on her. So Zenobia knows where they're going to, because she also saw the map during this altercation. and Sinbad goes to the North Polar regions where he's going through the ice, but the ship gets caught up in the ice and they can't go any further, so they have to go on foot. And this is where you get another great scene. It could all be like the second best scene in this film, and it's where the walrus comes out from the ice, and it's great. You get the crew, they're fighting and they're trying to sort of jab it with some spears, and it kind of reminded me of a sort of typical Harryhausen scene where you've got the heroes fighting a monster. It's kind of remind me of the cowboys in the Fadegwanji when they're trying to lasso the T-Rex. So it's how can I say? Is it Ray Harryhausen royalty? It's what we're all familiar with and what we all love. So it is a fantastic scene. So they deal with that. They manage to. They don't kill the walrus. They kind of scare it off, but he loses a couple of crew out of this. And then after this, they move on and they manage to get to the ancient land of Hyboria, and it is a pretty oasis. And it kind of reminded me of when they approached the ice and they managed to get to Hyboria, where it's an oasis. It kind of reminded me of another film called The Land That Time Forgot, when you've got the U-boat trying to go to the land of Caprona. It's kind of, it just reminded me of that. Another movie that was kicking around in my childhood, one with Doug McClure. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But anyway, getting back to Sinbad. So they get to Hyboria, and like I say, it's an oasis, and they're having a little bit of downtime by a lake, and the princess is just bathing with Melanthius' daughter. And then you get another character turn up, which is Trog, the troglodyte. And they think that he's going to cause some menace, but he's actually a friendly character. And he allies with Sinbad and the crew. But whilst this is happening, Zenobia, because she looked at the map and she knows where she's going to this temple to try and thwart everything, she takes a shortcut through a ice tunnel and she goes directly to the pyramid, the temple of Hyboria. So she's kind of got like a bit of a head start, and when she gets to the pyramid, she uses a potion to enter, and this is where you get Minotaur. He removes the stone block, but in the process he gets crushed by it, he falls back, and that is the end of Minotaur, which is a shame. A bit sad by that. I was kind of hoping that Sinbad and his crew might have a confrontation with him, but that does happen in a different way. We'll get to that in a minute. Sinbad then arrives minutes later into the temple, and he is confronted by Zenobia's son, where they have a fight, and Sinbad kills her son. And they manage to transform Cassim back into human form, but with Zenobia grieving her son, she transforms her spirit into the saber-toothed tiger that's in the ice, who is guarding the tomb. And this is where you get a incredible scene. It's like a big payoff scene for the movie, where the saber-toothed tiger has a fight with Trog. Trog tries to fend him off, but he gets killed in the process. And then you've got the ultimate showdown with Sinbad and what's left of his crew confronting the saber-toothed tiger. And you get a pretty cool fight scene here. It goes on for about 5 minutes, and you got a bit where you think Sinbad's going to get killed by the saber-tooth. He falls back onto the ground, but with Trog's spear, he punches it into the chest of the saber-toothed tiger and puts an end to Zenobia, and that's it, and she is taken care of. And that is the end of the movie. They manage to get out of the temple, it all starts falling down, and they escape, and Sinbad takes the hand of Farah, and that is the end of his adventures for now. So that's it, that is the end of The Eye of the Tiger. And to mention, you get another bit here where you get the end credits, quite good. The end of the movie, you've got the eyes of Zenobia flashing up on the screen, and it kind of leaves it a little bit open to say is she dead or not. So there you go, that's it, it's left open for us. And we didn't get another Sinbad movie from Harryhausen, but we did get Clash of the Titans, which came after this. So and that is it, guys. That is my bite-sized review of Eye of the Tiger. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. If you have seen it, hopefully you're a fan like me. tell you what I'm doing next. So I'll be coming back for episode 4 soon. Kind of done all the preparation work for that, so I should be recording that soon. And I've got so many films to choose from, but I thought I'd go for a Hammer horror film, and I was going to go for something like Dracula Prince of Darkness or The Mummy, which are absolutely brilliant Hammer horror movies, but there is a favourite of mine kicking around there, and it is Quatermass and the Pit from 1967, so I'm going to look forward to having a look at that one, giving that a bite-sized review. So that's it, guys. That's the end of the episode. You can find me on iTunes and Stitcher, and I'm a proud member of Legion Podcast, so please check out all the other shows on there. And you can also find me on Facebook, which I've had some new members join this week, which is pretty cool. There's some really good stuff being posted on there. There's some films actually that I haven't actually heard of, so keep posting away, guys. And let me know if there's anything that you want me to take a look at. I'll be happy to do it. So let's keep it fun, and take care, guys, and I will see you guys soon.
If you enjoyed this show, then make sure you check out the other great shows on the Legion Podcast Network, like Cinema Psyops, Cinema Beef, Devour the Podcast, Duncan and Bo Come Correct, Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, Friday the 13th, Get Slayed, The Hellming Power Hour, Hello, This is the Doom Show, Hero Hero Go Show, Kill the Cast, Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, Jerry Hates Action, Legion After Dark, Mental Health, Obsessive Cinema, Discourse, Pick 6 Movies, the podcast by The Cemetery, the podcast on Haunted Hill, the Psychosemantic Podcast, Rick Radio, House of Wax, Dude Looks Like the 80s, Rabbit and Red Radio, the Shadecast, Short Bus Cinema, 2 Drink Minimum Commentaries, the VD Clinic, Who Will Survive Horror Podcast, and Witch vs. the Doomsday Clock. With such a wide spread of shows, there is guaranteed to be a niche for you to fall in love with. Horror, politics, movies, books, sex, music, commentaries, health, video games, kaiju, action, news, comedy, and opinions that would most likely get you killed in some parts of the world. We are proud to bring you some of the best podcasting in the world. Check us out at www.legionpodcast.com, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and any other dark corner of the internet where podcasts can be found.